Hello, love. I am so happy that you're here. We are kicking off a four-part series on all things weight. And I wanted to do this for a while, and I'm really excited. We are going to dive into the why and why it's been hard, and the tools, and the good and the bad. And then we're going to talk about like how to create long-term weight loss. I think everybody who's listening to this right now, that's what you want. You want the freedom. You want the freedom in your mind and the freedom in your body. And so that is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the solution too. And again, we're doing this in four different parts. Over the next four episodes, we're really going to dive into all the things. We get questions all the time. Also, we work with clients, and so we see where they struggle. And, this first part one, is all about why has it been so difficult? And when I think about this, why it's been so difficult, there's many, many reasons, and we're going to talk through some of those reasons today. But before we get into that, if you've listened to the podcast before, you've heard her. She is a regular. Her name is Jen Taylor. And Coach Jen, say hello to the ladies and give a little brief intro to what you do for Transform Boss and then anything else you want to add.
Hi, ladies. Jen Taylor. I have been with Transform since 2020. I'm like, where has time gone? I am a coach in Transform. I help kind of develop all of our coaches in Transform. Of course, along the way, they teach me so much too. I get to take care of our clients, our ladies, make sure that they are taken care of, that we try to always over deliver for them in all the ways. And I'm trying to think what else. I don't know what else, Jan. All the things. My
She
hands
does
are in
all
a
the
little bit of
things.
everything.
Yeah, she does. She does. Jen, so this first part, I really want to talk about why it's been so hard because I used to think why it was so hard was because something was wrong with me. I truly, honestly, if I had to like take it all down, I really believed that something was wrong with me. And whether that was something was wrong with my body, my genetics, something was wrong with my personality, meaning like I wasn't good enough, I couldn't be successful at it. And so for me, I always thought that it was me, that something was wrong with me. Jen, when you were on the diet roller coaster and going through all of that, when you think about like why you thought it was so hard, was it similar or something different?
Yeah, I think a lot of, for sure, I thought genetics. Like I was the big sister. My other sisters are more petite. So for sure, genetics and comparing. Also, I thought that I had this belief that I just couldn't commit, right? Like I just really could not show up for myself when it counted. Like I just almost didn't believe in me, I guess, is what it came down to.
Yeah.
That I couldn't resist the temptation because that's just who I was.
Ooh, who I was. Yes, it reminds me too. I thought I was a person who was either all in or all out. And I labeled myself with this in so many areas of my life, not just weight loss, actually. I'm like, oh, I'm either all in or all out. And two, I labeled myself kind of as a failure in weight loss. And like this was just, again, back to this who I was. And so I really love that because, and I want to say this because I don't think that is why folks carry extra weight. I don't believe actually any of that, but I think that's what I believed. And I think too, we get a lot of messages in the media and socialization, a lot of fat shaming, really. I mean, there's just so much of it, right? If you are not a certain body type, and again, that body type changes throughout the decades and years. So good luck if you're trying to do that. But I think too, we just get all of these different messages that we're lazy, we can't control ourselves. Just why can't you just eat less? How many times? I mean, even if you go on to social media, I don't recommend it because I think it's not serving anyone. But if you do see, you'll see where people are like, I just don't know why you can't just eat less. I don't know why you can't just exercise more. It's just like this very judgmental, shaming, you have a problem, I'm better than you kind of attitude and socialization that we've gone through. And so what happens over time, I think, is that for many women who have put their worth in their outer packages and what they look like in their bodies, it really just wreaks havoc with your confidence, your self esteem, the way that you feel about your worth. And it leads to just feeling really bad. And I always felt like I had this like 200-pound sack on my back. And that is the mental weight of it. It was not the physical weight. The physical weight, of course, uncomfortable. I, didn't like how I fit my clothes, all the things. But it really was this mental weight of all of it. And so I want to talk a little bit about what mental weight is. And so when I think about mental weight, I think about this nonstop conversation that is in the back of your head. And even if it's in your subconscious, it's still going on. It's just this chatter, it's this noise about when you should eat, what you should eat, how you should look, how you're not enough. The mental weight causes you to do some things like looking for the next diet all the time, scrolling, looking at, skinny women and putting pictures up on your vision board of women with, some sort of body type that you want. Too, I think also like feeling bad every time that you eat something. So if you eat something quote unquote unhealthy, it's like you shame yourself. And I'm not saying, I know many of you have been shamed by other people for eating, right? Especially when probably you were kids. If you were overweight as a kid, for sure I was. So if I ate something, it just was programming, if I ate a piece of cake or if I ate chocolate or if I ate lasagna, whatever it was, it's like, why are you eating this? You shouldn't be eating this. You need to do better. So, you know what? We're going to do better on Monday. Some form of that, right? And so it's just this constant kind of looping that just went on in my brain over and over and over again. I think too, it's walking by like a mirror or seeing a picture and just feeling disgust for my own body and disappointment. That is the mental weight. It is for me, it was the heaviest part of all of it. And the physical weight, although uncomfortable, I didn't like it. It actually fed like the mental weight that was going on. So, Jen, as I was talking, what kind of came up for you as you're thinking about the mental part of this?
I think at one point too, I even experienced that even if it wasn't what quote unquote bad foods, I would find some way to beat myself up as long as I had the extra weight on. Like I just wanted to continue to prove that story true, that it was always going to be a struggle, that I couldn't figure it out kind of thing. I think also for me, mental weight was having to put on a smile and
Mm,
be outgoing and be happy and all the things when internally you just felt horrible. I'm comparing myself all along the way with other people but I'm going to put on that smile and then
mm,
I'd come home and just be exhausted, almost just like a mask, right? I think I don't know what kind of some kind of drug commercial that they're like walking around with the mask and then behind it they're like sad, right? And
mm,
just putting on this persona of and ladies, my life was never like horrible, but when you feel that way internally, it just
mm.
is that constant loop that you're talking about, Shannon, right? That like never quiets down.
Yeah. And it's always there. Like you could be having like the best moment of your life, really. Like you could like, I'm not kidding. You could like be having the best moment. I remember getting married and I loved my wedding dress. I mean, oh my gosh, I felt so great in it. Don't get me wrong. I felt so great in it, but I have a lot of loose skin. And so I had like some stuff that was kind of overhanging the dress. And I remember thinking, oh, people are going to see it. People are going to know. People are going to like see that I have all this extra skin. They're going to see that I have this fat, all of these things. And the crazy part is, again, the best day of my life. Really? Like, I mean, outside of having my son. And so, like, I think about this and I just think it just is always there. no matter like what is going on. You could again be happy. Emotions fluctuate. So I was like having the best day of my life, and still these thoughts were there. Still, these thoughts were like, oh, check, make sure everything's tucked in, make sure, oh, wait, camera pose. Oh, is everything okay? Don't turn to the side. Don't, it's just this constant loop. And I don't know that we as women really understand how heavy that is. I think women, we feel exhausted, we feel run down, we feel burnt out. And it is not the physical part. It is not the to do list. It is the constant chatter in our brains of, you're not enough. You need to lose weight. You need to lose weight. It's not enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not young enough. You're not all of these different things. And especially as I age too, now being in my 50s, I've gone through menopause and all the different pieces that come with that and not feeling like yourself. And, it's just all of this and it's heavy. It's heavy. And so I want to talk about the diet roller coaster. To me, the diet roller coaster is this on off. It is binging, restricting, it is being all in or all out. I think what happens is over time, it creates this trauma in our bodies where, we are all in and we're excited. We're not going to really talk about Oprah, but she's so excited right now because she's done the weight loss drugs and she's so excited. And I see it in her and I'm like, oh, yes, I felt that too, right? All of us, right? Where we've lost weight and we felt so good. And we're just like, yes, yes, this is it, right? And so we feel so good. And then something happens in our life, or, we can't keep doing whatever we were doing, right? Something changes. And then we start to gain a little weight back. And then, oh, it's like a balloon has been popped. You're just like, oh my gosh. And then what happens? You start panicking. You start feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain the weight back. And you start having a lot of fear. And then suddenly you go back to the one thing that comforts you, that has always comforted you, and it's food. The diet roller coaster and the diet trauma, I think it's this like constant not enough, no matter what you weigh. This is an important point I want to make. Ladies, it does not matter what you weigh. It doesn't. I promise you this. There's always like this little, like, I like to call it like the ecstasy period, right? When you first lose some weight, you're feeling very excited, but that is temporary. It is a temporary feeling. If you've ever lost weight, it's not that you don't feel good and have, again, emotions ebb and flow, but I want to say this because suddenly then old thoughts will come in. Oh, I have this loose skin, or oh, I'm getting older, or you have this really big fear that you're going to gain it back. And so you start to like, start to see certain patterns because you've never healed your relationship with food, or relationships start to change and you don't know how to handle that, right? Because you have not dealt with the mental weight. And so hear this, no matter what you weigh, the mental part of this, you have to do the work on. You have to start to think differently, feel differently, start to do differently by changing your thinking. And this trauma, too, and I see this a lot when someone starts a new diet or starts a new thing and whatever it is, and they're like, well, I'll take care of the mental part later. If I just lose the weight now, I'll take care of that later. But it doesn't work like that, because how you think now is how you will think once you lose the weight. That doesn't change by eating differently or trying a tool like weight loss surgery or medication or whatever it is. The mental part does not change. Your thinking does not change. You'll just be the same brain in a smaller body, right? And then all the fear and all the things will still be there. So, Jen, I know I said a lot there. Tell me what you think.
Also good. I mean, I've been in that smaller body with all the thoughts. I was there and it wasn't enough. I would always find, 10 more pounds. Maybe I could just get 10 more pounds or define this muscle a little bit better. And really, what that comes down to is just not me seeing my worth and my value and thinking that it comes at some number on a scale,
Mm-hmm.
some pant size. And yeah, and I think too, the diet roller coaster, that on and that off, I think there's so much shame that can come along with when the weight comes back on too, right? Whatever your method is, it's, oh, I should have known better. I should have done differently to keep it off. And there's just so much shame associated with it that keeps us just distant and not wanting to even step into it, right?
Yeah, it is. Think about, I can't tell you because I've gained and lost, you know, all the weights, all the times. I've been all the sizes, all the things. And I think about when you do start to gain that weight, that shame, it is almost paralyzing. Suddenly you're like, I'm not going to that event. I'm not doing that thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm wearing big baggy clothes. It can affect just even how you dress, how you take care of yourself, because the shame is just so paralyzing, actually. I mean, it is. And so I think about this whole like, why has it been so hard? The purpose of this episode. And it really is about the mental piece of our weight, our body image, how we think about ourselves, our capabilities, all of those pieces, our past, right? All of that to me is the biggest part. And it is the part of the whole diet industry that is missing. And if you look at all the tools out there, that piece is mostly missing. There are some pieces in some of the tools, but mostly it's missing. And so what happens is women are just left feeling like I've lost the weight, or I can't lose the weight, or I've been on this diet roller coaster for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and really something is broken with me. And I want to say to everyone who's listening to this, nothing is broken with you. And that it is possible for you to lose your weight, to lose the mental weight, to do something different than what you're doing now in really easy, simple ways. And all hope is not lost on you. And I know that it can feel so hopeless and so frustrating. And I know you don't want to think about food anymore, and you don't want to think about what to do and all the things. And that's why I wanted to do this 4-part series, because I wanted to be very specific on why it has been hard, what are the tools, the good and the bad, and then what to do. And I know there's hope because I was on the diet roller coaster for almost 38 years and I'm off. And, it was interesting. We were just kind of having a coaches meeting. They were talking about different things that they had been hearing, and people coming to them saying, hey, I'm trying this and whatever. And immediately I just thought, oh, I never want to go back to this very restrictive thing. I don't, because it's such a trigger for me, the restriction, because the opposite of restriction is binging. And it just is that it's, it's the yin and the yang. You restrict for any period of time, or you think you're going to restrict, then the opposite of that is just, eating all the things in whatever capacity that is for you. So it's hard because of the mental part of it. And there is a different way. Jen, when you think about the mental part of it and what you've been able to do, like with the mental part of it, what do you think has been easy about that for you? Because I think we think it's so hard. Like when I talk about losing the mental weight, people are like, oh my gosh, it's just so hard. I don't know, right?
It takes time, but I think what has been easy is just coming back to self love, believing in myself, and choosing, making a decision that, nope, I'm no longer talking to myself that way. And then over time, as I would come into awareness that I was talking negatively or, all the things that I just put a like, nope, stop, we're not talking. And it just built over time. And
Yeah.
it just really, I think, spread into so many other branches in life. Because I think when you can feel confidence, your worth, self assurance, all these things, you then feel better to step into something new, to try something different, to be okay with failing, right? To do all these things. And so that for me, I think probably in retrospect was like one of the easiest things. Once I just made that decision, I just kept applying it and it just kept becoming easier and easier.
That's awesome. No, it's so good, right? This part of like the mental work, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't. That's what we teach, in Transform Boss. And I just want to reiterate one more time, it is not you. And what I mean by that is we have been told that everything is in a food plan, a diet plan, all the things. And it's not the truth. When you start to work on the mental weight, when you start to find yourself the noise quieting, it's just easier to do the things that you want to do. Jen talked about making decisions. It's easier to be in a headspace where you can make those decisions for yourself, when you can start to show up for yourself, when you're not so overwhelmed trying to be perfect on a diet. And it doesn't have to be a part time job either. Our next episode is all about the tools of weight loss, the good and the bad. We're going to talk about diets, weight loss surgery, weight loss drugs. We're going to talk about all of them. In everything in life, there's good and bad. And so we're going to talk about it and just have, a real honest conversation about what we believe about them and all the things. I know it's going to be good. I can't wait. All right, my love. Now, if you're ready to do this work and you want to make it easy, then come join us. Go to jointransformboss.com. You can go there and you can check it out and see all of the amazing things that are in Transform Boss. Yeah. Good. All right. Thank you, Jen. All right.
Yeah.
Bye, my loves. See you next week.